Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. Many of you in the comments section have talked about Giggity. Today we're going to talk about Giggity. Let's get started. Now, before we get started on Giggity, I wanted to thank all of you guys because last night we hit 400,000 subscribers. We're starting to get into the big league, and I'm really thankful to you guys for hitting the subscribe button. It's really helped us out. And we hope to continue keeping the great content coming, the boat, the Malibu, and every other kind of crazy car that comes through the shop. We're here for you. You guys are here for us. It's kind of like a mutual thing we got going. So I wanted to thank you guys again. Now this is a 1998 Viper GTS. There was an RT10 and a GTS model. If you didn't like getting rained on or the weather all in your hair or kind of the open top experience, what you could have gotten in 98 was the GTS. It has a hard top that doesn't come off. It's just like a normal car. This one is highly customized, especially in the interior. It is really cool. You guys are going to like checking out the interior and checking this car over. It's here for a few issues. It had some battery issues. It had a power window issue and some oil leaks. We're going to take a look around the car. We're not going to lift it today because the engine has valve covers off of it and we're waiting on parts. We're not going to start the engine and mess with it with the valve covers off. So let's go ahead and take a look around the car. As you can see with this GTS, it is silver with the blue stripes. You could have gotten red with white stripes, and that was pretty much the only options you had. This one happened to be the silver with the blue stripes. It is in very good condition. It has 46,000 miles on it approximately, and it runs and drives perfectly. It's in very good shape. It has very nice Forgiato wheels on it. Kind of complements the car. It's the same color as the body paint, very similar anyway. No scratches or dings or anything on the bodywork on this car. Like I said, it was in good shape. And here's the license plate, Giggity. You guys love that. You think that's funny in the comments, and that's great because that's what is intended when he had the tag done, I'm sure, is for a little chuckle. So it has an exhaust system on it. You guys have seen this car before. It's been in the shop. It's been quite a while. It's a very loud exhaust system. It sounds really good. It sounds great. This is a really cool looking car. Has the big Viper gas cap cover, and there's the gas cap. There we go. And again on this side, nice Forgiato wheels, no scratches, no dents, it's not beat up. It's been taken very good care of. The guy takes care of this car. One of the concerns the owner had was the state of the batteries. There is 2 batteries on this vehicle. Normally they only have 1, but this one has 2 because it's very heavily customized, and you'll see that here in a minute. But it has a small battery, an AGM battery here in the back. I'll show you. These struts are not holding the glass up. Those are on order. Those will be replaced. But right in here in this secret little compartment is a little battery, kind of an auxiliary battery. That one was pulled out and charged and tested, and it passed with flying colors. It's a very good battery. There's no issues with that one. Check out the sound system, guys. You're not going to get this from Chrysler Corporation. This is all customized. Very nice craftsmanship on this. Rockford Fosgate punch amps. Some Rockford Fosgate subs. The speakers up there in the top. Very cool customization here in the trunk. The main battery, however, was a different story, and as many of you that are familiar with Vipers know, you don't just check the battery really fast on one of these. The left rear wheel has to come off, and there is a small compartment behind there where you take a portion of the wheel liner off, and there sits the battery. We got the battery out. It's been kept on a tender. He's been doing the proper maintenance on the battery, but it just got old and finally failed. One thing that I check for batteries especially is actually the physical shape of the battery. And you can see on this one, it's bulged. As you can see on this side of the battery, it's actually dome shaped and it should be flat. It's slightly dome-shaped on the front and back, but the sides are really bad. You can see over here that it's bulging pretty bad. So usually when I see that, when I start pulling out a battery and I see this bulge, I don't have to go any further. We did test the battery just to be sure. We charged it and then used our handy-dandy Midtronics tester that we have here in the shop, and it failed miserably. It really failed bad. Something has gone bad, an internal short or something that just drains the battery. And when that happens, the electrolyte inside can actually freeze and expand. And that's basically what happened to this. The battery is useless. We got a new battery in and it starts right up and it does great. So let's take a look under the hood and then I'll let you guys check out the really sweet interior. It's nice, guys. So I've had a few friends in the shop at times when I've had a Viper in the shop, and I always like to play the game, open the hood. I like to play a joke on them. I say, hey, open the hood, let's check out the motor. This thing looks sweet. And they reach around through the window, and as soon as they get this far, I go, ah, wrong. Nope, that's not how you open the hood on a Viper. If you're going to open the hood on a Viper, you have to close your eyes and pretend it's a 1966 Chevelle. There is no...
You have one of those.
Oh, yes, I do. There's no hood latch under the dash. It's the old 60s hot rod stuff, guys. This is a muscle car. It's not a Lambo. It's not meant for track racing around tight corners. It is a true to form muscle car. Even so much so, and how the hood opens. I'll show you guys. So you reach through the grill, just like the old days, just like Grandpa did in 1962. There you go. Now you go and pull this up on the front just a little ways, and there's another latch, a safety latch. So you reach down here and there's one more safety latch. So once you get that latch done, it raises up to about that far, and that's it. Now don't make the mistake that you're going to open the hood. That's not how a Viper works. It opens backwards, kind of like a Jag. And there you have it. That's how you open the hood on a Viper. So this is the big 8-liter V10. Has over 400 horsepower. And it's missing something. You guys can see that right away, can't you? Because you guys are gearheads like me. It's missing the valve covers. No, it didn't come in here that way. That's not why it's leaking oil. Actually, the valve covers are why it's leaking oil, but we have them off because the gaskets themselves were leaking all over the exhaust manifold. This car's such a cool car. You don't drive it around and try to show off with it and with smoke billowing out of the hood. That doesn't go over well. But check out those rocker arms, guys. Those are beefy, girthy rocker arms. Those are man's rocker arms. Very, very nice. We got the gaskets on order, and as soon as they come in, we'll get that taken care of. And for the time being, we will put a cover over the engine. This is a dirty, nasty cover, but it doesn't have any dirt on it as far as debris. And if it gets oil on it and ruins it, I don't care. But this will keep dirt out of the engine. There we go.
It's like you just put it to bed.
Yep. Nighty-night. Now we'll reverse the procedure to close the hood, and there are certain ways to do this. You don't just slam it down, you'll probably break it. Put it down gently. There's 2 guides that each side goes into. That one's seated. Let's go to the other side. And that one is too. And you want to push on the hood. If you look under it with a flashlight, you can see the 2 nuts right there. That's the area you want to push on. Everything forward of that is just open. You don't want to go pushing right here. You could crack the hood, the bonnet. So you push right where those mounts are. And that's it. That's how you close it. So let's go take a look at this really sweet interior. So the gauges and things and whatnot are stock on this car, but not much else is. The dash has got a suede or Alcantara style covering over it. And not just pieces of the dash, the entire dash, even the underneath, everything. It's got a nice Pioneer head unit. This is a custom made cover here by the shifter. It's got blue shift boot and a blue handbrake boot. Even got the suede Alcantara material along the center console. It's got a little latch here that's locked. I'm not going to mess with it, but there's a place to hide things that you don't want the public getting to. I'm not sure, but I think this lights up. It shows Viper. These seats did not come from the Chrysler factory either. These are all aftermarket style seats, and they look really nice. They match the theme of the car. Even the doors are fully custom. This is all that suede material. It has the push button here to open and close the doors. It has speakers built in here. There's no window switches. And that's because everything's in the center. Here's your window switches. And here's seat heaters, which didn't come from the factory. Your rear de-icer, seat heater, LED light. You got the rear hatch and power locks. That, as you can tell, did not come from Chrysler Corporation either. You can see the suede material again is on the complete entire headliner with blue stitching. It's really a real nice interior, and it was done very well. You can tell that this wasn't done in the backyard like you see some of the Honda Civics where they try to redo their interior. This was done professionally. It was done very well, so I think it looks really nice. The last issue that he wanted corrected was that the power window on this side, it would go up, but it would not come back down. And I've showed you guys in a previous video, whenever you want to test your power windows, you look at your dome lights. While you're operating that power window, the dome lights should dim. Now this is with the engine off, mind you. Make sure your engine is off. And when you operate the window, your dome light should dim. If the motor and the wiring is all intact, but just maybe the window's stuck or something else is wrong, you would see your lights dim. That means it's pulling a load, which means the wiring is good. The motor might be seized up, but this one, when you go up position, the lights would dim. When you go down position for the window to go down, the lights didn't flicker at all. Nothing. So that told me that power is, for some reason, not getting to the motor. And I'll show you what we found. You can see this corrugated rubber tubing here. There's wiring that goes through there. This is a conduit that runs right inside the body. And just inside the body, there was a broken wire. We were able to reach in there and repair the wire and put it all back together, and the window started working again. This is a very common issue on just about any car. So, you know what happens when you open and close your door 1,000 times? It's the same as if you took a piece of wire and bent it 1,000 times. It can break. And that's exactly what happened here. We got the wiring repaired. The window works perfectly again. So we got that taken care of for him. There was also inside that enclosure that you saw the speaker on the door panel. The wiring had corrosion, had some issues going on there. We rewired the speaker for him and made that issue go away. He had an issue when he would hit a bump, that speaker would cut out a little bit, and that's all it was some corrosion. So we took care of those two things and got all that fixed for him. This is one of those situations that you go to a shop and they will say, oh, it just needs a window motor. And they throw one in there and, oh, that didn't fix it. What do we do now? And they will work behind the scenes to figure out a way to finally fix really what was wrong, but they won't tell you that it was something other than the motor. And they'll still charge you for the motor, even though you didn't even need it. Be very careful of that in shops. This repair, even fixing the speaker for him, the wiring, is less than a quarter of the cost of replacing the motor. These are very expensive regulators on these. We've actually had these rebuilt before in the past. They're just really not out there to buy. But just be careful that when you go to a shop that they're not parts changers. They're just throwing parts at it. We went through and diagnosed and figured out why is this happening before we made any decisions or took any actions. That is how you fix cars and make money. Because the customer will keep coming back, and he'll tell his friends, and it just grows from there. Now, in a previous video, when we had a DeLorean in the shop, we played a little joke and pretended we used the DeLorean to go back in time to 1992 or whatever it was to get parts for our Viper. It was actually Leo's Viper. You guys know Leo. He had a Murcielago and a red Viper. Here's the link to that video if you want to watch it. But it was a joke to go back in time to get parts for it, but it's almost that difficult. It really is for these cars. There are online retailers that sell parts, Viper Specialty or Viper Parts, or different websites, and I've been using them, and they do have the parts, but you're not going to have them here tomorrow. And you might order the part from any seller, and then you get an email a day later, hey, we saw that you ordered that part, we actually don't have them in stock, it's going to be 6 weeks. It's like, what? How am I supposed to run a shop off of that? So you really have to call them on these cars. I see that you stock these parts. Do you actually have them in stock? And you'd be surprised that 9 times out of 10 they'll say, no, we don't. So these kind of cars, the Dodge Vipers, the first generation and into the second generation, they are not cars that you're going to take to the shop and get repairs done and have it done that same week. It's not going to happen. And luckily, the customer who owns this is very understanding. He's totally cool with whatever it takes as far as time to take care of his Viper. Who knows, we'll take care of it and do it right for him. But rushing on a Dodge Viper just doesn't work. It's not going to work. The reason for that is this is not an F-150 where there's 37 million of them on the road. The numbers that they made on these are very low, in the thousands, tens of thousands on certain models. So years and years go by. Some of them have been wrecked by now, some of them stolen or whatever, chop shop, and those numbers have dwindled even more. And there's just not a heavy demand for all these parts. So when you finally need a part, you're going to have to search and finally find one. And when you do find it, you just have to order it. You're going to probably pay a little bit for it, and you're going to have to wait. I actually have some contacts through Exotic Parts. I use AMH Exotics for a lot of my exotic parts. They really come through on a lot of things. I asked them, can they get Viper parts? And they were like, nope. The demand is so small on those, even smaller than Ferraris and Lamborghinis, that they just don't mess with that stuff. There are suppliers. He gave me a hookup from a guy that can get some parts for me. I have already found the parts on these. They're ordered. They're on their way. But as you see, it's sitting and waiting. We have the valve covers off and the engine covered, so as soon as those parts arrive, we can immediately start going back together, and that cuts a lot of the time.
Could there be less demand for these parts because it's a Dodge and not a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
No. In fact, you would think that there would be a lot of parts off the shelf, parts bin parts that Dodge used on these. There really isn't. The valve cover that's used on these, you can't use a Dodge Ram V10 valve cover gasket. They're not the same. They don't work. So you pretty much have to buy Viper parts for a Viper. The final issue that we're going to solve as soon as we get everything else back together is that the parking brake, occasionally the cable will stick. You go to put the parking brake down and pull it back up, and there's like no resistance. That's because the cable's not returning. It's probably a simple fix. We can lube it up. It may be in the brake calipers itself. We'll have to see what it is. But that'll come after we've got the valve covers on, everything else done. We can get on a lift. We can figure out what's going on with that. So in the previous comments, I seen you guys really liked Giggity here. I knew you guys wanted to see a video on Giggity. So we did a video. That's why it's here. Nothing serious. It's just a bunch of small items to get taken care of. But I'm glad you guys could follow along and check out this really cool car. The interior is really, really cool on this car. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on these cars, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All the tools I use in the shop, some really cool tools, are for sale there. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button already, I really recommend you do that now, because I want to get to 500,000 subs, and I really, really want to get there, guys. So anyways, thanks for watching. We got many more cool videos to come.